Let's first look at how the brain develops during embryonic life. The brain develops from a structure known as the neural tube, which is responsible for the formation of both brain as well as the spinal cord. The neural tube is ectodermal in origin. The anterior portion of the neural tube forms the brain, whereas the posterior portion forms the spinal cord. The anterior portion of the neural tube becomes expanded and it develops three constrictions resulting in the formation of primary brain vesicles, which are the prosencephalon, mesencephalon, and rhombencephalon. The prosencephalon gives rise to the forebrain, mesencephalon forms the midbrain, whereas rhombencephalon is responsible for the formation of hindbrain. This structure is visible in a 3 to 4 week embryo. At around 5 weeks old, the prosencephalon and the rhombencephalon develop two more constrictions each, resulting in the formation of secondary brain vesicles. From the prosencephalon, you get the telencephalon and the diencephalon, whereas from the rhombencephalon, you get the metencephalon and the myelencephalon. So we begin off with the three primary brain vesicles, which were the prosencephalon, mesencephalon, and the rhombencephalon, and this structure is visible in a 3 to 4 week embryo. In a 5 week embryo, the prosencephalon and rhombencephalon further form two constrictions. They further develop two constrictions so as to form the secondary brain vesicles. And these are the telencephalon, diencephalon, the mesencephalon, the metencephalon, and the myelencephalon. Now, the walls of the telencephalon give rise to cerebrum, whereas its cavities give rise to the lateral ventricles. For now, just remember that ventricles are fluid-filled spaces present inside the brain. Similarly, the wall of the diencephalon will give rise to thalamus, hypothalamus, and the epithalamus, whereas its cavity will give rise to third ventricle. You might be wondering, how did we come up to the number third ventricle? Well, the lateral ventricles are 2 in number, so you might as well imagine them to be the first and the second ventricle. The wall of the mesencephalon gives rise to the midbrain, and its cavity gives rise to the aqueduct of the midbrain, also known as the cerebral aqueduct. Similarly, the walls of the metencephalon gives rise to pons and the cerebellum, and its cavity gives rise to the upper part of the fourth ventricle. And finally, the walls of the myelencephalon gives rise to the medulla oblongata, also known as the medulla, and its cavity gives rise to the fourth ventricle's lower part. Now, there is one more thing to remember, that all of these ventricles are actually connected with each other because they are a part of one single tube. It's just the tube which has undergone modifications in order to form the entire brain that we see.